What's up, AI lovers? Today we're taking a look at Symbotic stock, and I'm going to give you guys my price prediction where I think this stock is headed, if it's going to continue going up or if it's due for a pullback. This stock is definitely my best performing stock, up 350% year to date. Now, anytime a stock is up 350%, oh, I stand corrected, now it's closer to 352%, should probably be thinking about, if not selling, at least trimming the position, right? I know it's easy to get FOMO here. This is a mistake I made in the past, but 350% year to date. And in the last month, it's up 52%. Even with its, finally seems to be cooling off today, it's down almost 7%. Even with that, up over 50% in the last month. Now, if you're not familiar with Symbotic, I've made tons of videos that you can check out on the channel. I've also made a playlist with all my Symbotic videos. I'll link that in the description below. Definitely check that out. But if you guys aren't familiar, I'll give you guys a quick 30-second summary of the company. It's a warehouse automation company. They're doing a lot with AI, so they kind of got a boost during that whole AI run. It's run by Rick Cohen. This guy took C&S Wholesale Grocers. It's the largest wholesale grocery store in the U.S. He grew it tremendously under his time as a CEO. And it is, at least as of a couple of years ago, I believe it was the 8th largest private company in the US. So, he's got a ton of experience, and basically Symbotic was being built in stealth. It was being built to solve a problem that he had in his own warehouses. So this company's been around, 20 years building in stealth, even though it just went public officially back in May of 2022 here. But yeah, so this has been under development for a very long time. Now, we finally got a red day here. The stock down pretty significantly, almost 7% after just an insane run up. So I'm going to take a look at a few factors. We're going to look at the insider transactions. Has there been buying or selling? We're going to look at some technicals and stick around to the end because I've got a data point that I don't think anyone really talks about, but I think you're going to want to hear it. It's very interesting. So definitely stick around to the end here. So let's take a look here. Has there been more insider buying or selling? All right. So Todd Krasnow, member of Symbotic's board of directors, he just offloaded a bunch of shares. On the 27th here, he sold a lot of shares worth somewhere almost $2.6 million worth. So we got a record here of Todd Krasnow selling 51,000 shares. Let's look at what the other insiders have been doing. So in the last 3 months, you've got 3 buys and 7 sells. And in the last 12 months, you've got 14 insider buys, 43 insider sells. So very skewed towards selling here. A lot more selling than buying here. And then if we just look recently, mostly sells. Like here's all the trades that we have as of end of October-ish, 10/20. We've got lots of selling. Some of it was options, but no buying here. These are all sells. Now, remember, insiders can sell for a number of reasons. It might not necessarily mean they think the stock is going down. Who knows? Maybe they're buying a house. Maybe they want to cash out. But that insiders only buy for one reason. They think the stock's going up. And, here's a list of the buys, but again, just far more sells than buys, it appears. And a lot of the buying is from options as well. So a lot more sells, as we can see. Not a lot of buying. Now, additionally, Symbotic, as of October 31st, had a 15% short interest. And based on some research I've been reading the last few days, it might have been closer to 20%. That could be part of this massive run-up being, partially due to a short squeeze. I think something else that's really interesting to compare is, Symbotic's price to sales ratio is 28. Okay, that's a very high ratio. For example, skeptics of Tesla, they think Tesla is an overvalued stock. Tesla bears will say it's overvalued. Tesla's price to sales ratio is only 7.8. Okay, and Tesla's a massive company. They're profitable. Symbotic did grow. They're growing 60%. Tesla is pretty close, so they're probably growing around 40%. They're averaging maybe 50%, but just very interesting to see here. Symbotic, at the end of the day, it's unprofitable. It's got a price to sales of 28. Tesla only has a price to sale of under 8. So it does seem like maybe Symbotic is very overvalued. And again, the market cap, it just keeps going up. It's at $30 billion now, and the company is bringing in maybe $1.2 billion in revenue, somewhere in that ballpark. I've broken down all their quarterly figures in my past videos. So I thought that was interesting. Let's take a look at some technicals here. So as you can see, Symbotic's above all its moving averages. We had a biggest volume day ever here, almost 10 million shares. It looks like were traded a few days back. That was on November 21st. But as you can see, RSI at the bottom here, it got pretty close to 80. And in the past, every time it kind of, seemed to peak around here. Like if we go all the way back to June 20th, you see that high RSI corresponded with the stock basically peaking. Then again on July 31st, RSI was at its peak, stock was at its peak, it proceeded to drop. And then if we look here, stock is pretty high, pretty close to that peak. It got to around $63 last time. So this time, it tried to get to that $60 area. And as you can see here, the RSI is kind of flattening out and starting to decline actually. So a pretty big red day here, we'll have to see. And then you do have this huge gap back here from $37 all the way up to 48-ish. A couple other technicals, and then I want to show you guys a really interesting thing, I think, that I don't really see get talked about much. So if we take a look at the MACD here, let me zoom this into present. So you can kind of see here too, again, RSI we talked about. The MACD, it looks like is starting to perhaps coil back down. Again, red day here, and you can just see in the past, like usually, when the black line gets far over the red line, like you could see back in October, that happened, okay, and then it kind of, it always comes back down to the baseline here. So I think you can probably see this line, it was going pretty vertical. It's starting to slow down, and we'll have to see if we get a couple red days here. It's going to start coming down. Any other technicals I want to look at, but you can, again, you just kind of see here, this does appear like it might just have a red day and keep bouncing and keep going. We'll have to see, but I would bet on, it's starting to run out of steam. Now let's look at this indicator here that I think is very interesting. If we just take a look at on Google Trends here, I typed in Symbotic stock, okay? Now, hold on, let me pull up the other chart next to it. So Symbotic stock here. As you can see, investor sentiment or just the general interest in Symbotic stock, if we look at the last time it peaked, it was on July 30th through August 5th. That time span, that's where Symbotic's interest peaked. And if we take a look, let's see what Symbotic stock, where it was at on July 30th to August 5th. Oh, as you can see here, that corresponded perfectly with the peak. Let's see if maybe that's just a coinky-dink. Let's go to the low here, when nobody cared about Symbotic, September 24th to September 30th. September 24, okay, around here, it was at $30 to the 30th. It got up to, $33. Wouldn't you know, that basically was the low, and it went on to go up 100%. So Symbotic's low, no one caring, corresponded with the stock price being at its low. And now I would wager, as you can see, we have incomplete data here, but it looks same things happening again, it seems like, where, the Symbotic interest is peaking. I see all of the articles coming out now from the hypier sites. And I would be willing to bet that Symbotic, peaks here. And as you can see, it does look like it's starting to move down. A 7% move today, that's a lot. That's a pretty, the stock just has wild swings. So, anything can happen, but, if I had to bet, I think it's coming down. So I'm just holding on to my shares for right now. We'll see what happens. And, if it drops back down, I am very interested in this company. I can't really find reasons to not like it other than maybe the valuation got a little crazy. But again, they're growing 60%. So I'm very interested. I think it's a great stock to just tuck away on your watch list and keep an eye on. But I think short term, we seem due for a pullback here. So I look forward to hearing your guys' thoughts in the comments below. And again, check out my other videos on Symbotic. We've gone through everything, all about the company, the balance sheet, their quarterly reports. I've done it all. I've been covering this company since it went public back in May of last year, 2022. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I love to hear your guys' thoughts down below. This is Vinny from the Investment Club. I'll see you guys next time.